recording, as to warn people. Now the event is being recorded. So now for the formal introduction, Masoud has been here for a little over 2 years, and he has an illustrious career representing his country in various ways. Initially, his first posting was to China, followed by United States, and then he spent a significant period in Geneva, working with various UN agencies and in both sense capacity building and bringing the cause of Central Asia forward, not only in Tajikistan. And there have been a number of other notable appointments he has held, but one of the one that is most celebrated, and that's what basically connects Tajikistan to the world, is he was in charge of the e-visa system, the first one from Central Asia, which is now one of the best ones in the world. So, and all of us, all of us here from Cambridge and our counterparts in Kent, Professor Khalifzoda is here also, a PI of the project, all have benefited from this facility. And so we not only know him as a person, even before he arrived, his influence was supporting and helping us. In today's event, I would like to also kind of highlight a very important fact. He is actually the first Tajik ambassador to address a Cambridge University audience. And what is even better today is that it's not just a Cambridge University audience, which would have been otherwise only that one. We now have a kind of a global audience here with us from many, many countries, many places. So I'm also equally, grateful to Professor Peter Nolan, the founding director of Center for Development Studies in Cambridge, who has created the space for Central Asian studies to develop in Cambridge. And he would like to welcome His Excellency today. Peter, over to you.
Thank you very much, Montu, indeed. It's a great pleasure to welcome Masoud to give this talk. To some degree, we overlap in the sense that he has very deep knowledge of many parts of the world, but also has long experience in China, including learning Chinese language, which is very interesting in understanding the whole context of the area from China through to Central Asia and beyond. So it's a great privilege and pleasure to welcome him to this meeting to give his talk. This university has a long tradition for study and engagement with Central Asia, and the Central Asia Forum, of course, has played the leading role in developing that engagement. Tajikistan itself and the Tajik people, as everybody who is professionally knowledgeable about the region, which is not me, but people who really know the region well, understand the history of the people of Tajikistan and their deep role over a long period of history in the evolution, a very complex evolution of Central Asia right through to the present day. And of course, it has a pivotal role, simply observing the map and thinking about the implications of that for history, the present and the future. It leaps out at anybody with any degree of sensibility. So we are delighted and honored to have Masoud talk to us today in a virtual form. We hope very much, Masoud, that the virtual era will soon be past us, and we have the opportunity to welcome you in person to Cambridge, and look forward to further interactions with you and further talks from you. So thank you very much indeed for talking to us today, and I hand back now to Montu.
Thank you, Peter. And now I would like to invite Nicholas Ray, convener of Central Asia Forum, fellow of Jesus College, to say another word of welcome. And I think Masoud and yourself had the chance to eat and dine together in college, which we would have done otherwise today. But Nick.
Yes, Your Excellency, I think I have to address you like that because we've not yet met in person. But in normal circumstances, as Montu says, we would be welcoming you at Jesus College, which of course has for nearly a quarter of a century now hosted Cambridge Central Asia Forum. So both Peter Nolan and I are members of that committee, and very pleased indeed to see you here representing Tajikistan and talking, as Peter mentioned, about much else, about international connections, which are central to all of our concerns. So welcome, and let's hope we meet in person shortly.
Thank you, Nick. And finally, for the introductions, Elena, you who expressed to say a word of welcome from the project side.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And it is absolute delight, honor, and privilege to welcome you to this on this particular occasion, the Ambassador. Why delight and privilege? It's not just because of your achievements, because of your greatest experience and so on, but it is also the more I read about Tajikistan and the region, the more I'm convinced that we need your wisdom here in the West and in the world because of that era of enlightenment that you brought also to the world. So please continue engaging with us, and we will look forward to welcoming you not just in Cambridge but also in Canterbury. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and we look forward to your speech. Thank you.
So over to you, Masoud.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Montu. Thank you, Peter, Elena, Nicholas, everybody, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm delighted to express my sincere appreciation to Dr. Saxena and the team of the Center of Development Studies of the Cambridge University for cooperation and this amazing opportunity today. I hope that all of you and your families are well and safe during pandemic. Today, I will give you brief information regarding the impact of COVID on Tajikistan, about the measures which have been taken by the government to tackle the virus, an overview of current opportunities in Tajikistan in the context of Brexit, but first of all, about country's priorities. After the collapse of Soviet Union, the unified economic system has integrated and creating many economic and social problems in the young and independent Tajikistan. And this process was out of control. Look at Brexit, how difficult it is to leave a big union. And our breakup was completely uncontrollable, unlike Brexit. And these difficulties covered all spheres of country's economy, in particular in energy, industry, transport, agricultural, trade, and other sectors. And the Republic at that time was involved in a civil war, and which is, the economic damage of which was estimated billions of dollars. And after the establishment of peace and stability in the country, the government had to face a problem with ensuring sustainable economic development of the country. Therefore, for the further development, we have identified the following 4 strategic goals for our sustainable development, including ensuring energy independence, bringing the country out of the communication deadlock, ensuring food security, and now the 4th one, a new one, is industrialization of the country. It's impossible to imagine the development of the country economy without energy independence and full provision of all industries with electricity. It became clear that ensuring the implementation of a lot of programs and projects in social and economic fields and ensuring economic development at a sustainable level depends on the solution of energy problems. And in this direction, the following projects should be completed. It's construction of hydropower plants, it's power lines, it's creation of a unified energy system in the country, it's transition to the use for energy saving technologies. And in order to provide greater support for the development of energy and cooperation in this area with other countries, with our neighbors, with downstream countries, Tajikistan proposed the idea of creating an international hydropower consortium in Central Asia. And this proposal has not lost its significance until now. You know that Tajikistan is really rich in water resources. More than 60% of all water resources of Central Asia are generated in Tajikistan. Glaciers in Tajikistan cover an area of 6% of total area of the country. And Tajikistan endowed with rich hydropower resources. Our hydro potential is estimated more than 500 billion kilowatt hour per year. And in this area, Tajikistan ranks number 8 after China, Russia, the US, Brazil, India, Canada, and Zaire. So Tajik energy mostly based on hydropower. As I said, it's it was more before, now it's 93% covered by hydropower electricity. And it means that we are very renewable and we are going to keep it. The climate of Tajikistan also very good, very favorable for the use of solar energy. On average, there are 283 and 330 sunny days per year. Another priority strategic goal is breaking the communication deadlock. As I said, it's a national task, and these goals cover the reconstruction and construction of roads, railways, bridges, tunnels, airports, transport infrastructure in general, and which implementation should gradually bring the Republic out of that communication dead end and turn it into a transit country. So, as you know, we were part of Soviet Union, and Tajikistan has been a border country, and the Soviet Union was closed country. There was no infrastructure with neighbors. That's why after we got independence, we spent a lot of resources, energy, time in order to construct this road to China, this infrastructure projects with Afghanistan, even with Kyrgyzstan, which also was part of the Soviet Union. We didn't have a proper transport infrastructure. That's why this got a lot of resources and energy from us. And it's expected that the implementation of this strategic goal, which is we are very close, will help improve market access, increase trade, reduce the cost of transport service, because we are a landlocked country, and the most challenges we are facing now in the area of trade and investment attraction is that we are landlocked, and we have a lot of logistic issues. That's why this strategic goal is very crucial and very important for us. And here in London, for example, we are working very hard to establish a direct flight between London and Dushanbe, and we expect that flights between cities will be an effective way of generating our bilateral investments, tourism, and will increase export of goods. Food security is another priority. In this direction, in order to achieve goals that contribute to improving the living standard of population, significant measures have been taken. The development of agricultural production is an important factor to ensure food security in the country. In this regard, the correct use of land, improvement of its meliorative condition and productivity, export of fruits and vegetables are priority tasks. In particular, the construction of industrial enterprises, development of technologies for processing agricultural products, the cultivation of new varieties of plants, pest control, development of horticultural and viticultural and animal husbandry are areas that can be carried out in cooperation with developed countries. We will be able to ensure food security only when we provide the domestic market with local agricultural products and are less dependent on imported food. Ensuring food security in the Republic, in many cases, really depends on the efficiency and sustainable development of agricultural. Therefore, this sector, agricultural sector, is driving sector of our economy, which on average provides around 23% of the country's GDP, more than 70% of jobs, 25% of export, and 35% of tax revenues to the state budget. So it means that we are still agrarian country. Tajik fruits and vegetables are highly valued and popular in our region, not only because of the ecological compatibility, but also they have excellent taste qualities. We are working hard to establish an export to the UK. Vegetable fruits and dry fruits occupy the second place in Republic after cotton by volume of export. So we are working with the UK relevant department to launch the export of Tajikistan honey and dry fruits. And we are very close to ensure food security. It's enough for us to diversify the tax burden on farms, introduce preferences in the purchase of fuel and mineral fertilizers, provide government support in the purchase of seeds and type of cattle, as farmers spread their wings. And this will be significant progress in achieving food security. And as I said, the fourth priority task is in industrialization of the country. It's a new one, which was announced last year. Tajikistan embarked on the implementation of that faithful program last year, and by 2025, the share of industry in total GDP should reach at least 22% of our GDP. And in Tajikistan, we are developing our metallurgical, mining, and processing industries. The country's soil is rich in gold, silver, zinc, lead, bismuth, molybdenum, tungsten, copper, antimony, salt, and many other mineral resources with a high potential. The government has intensified its activities to attract direct investment, create new manufacturing enterprises, and create jobs. The lack of some types of raw materials within the country creates difficulties for the production of final products. And for the full and effective industrialization of the country at the moment, there are no necessary scientific and technical capabilities. That's most challenges that we are facing now. And the government definitely intends and solve these problems in the near future. That was about the four priority and strategic goals of Tajikistan. And now I would like to say a few words about COVID and those things around it. As a result of the spread of coronavirus and the associated decline in economic activity, the situation on the planet has become complicated, leading to economic, financial, and social crisis. And the pandemic has also expectedly affected Tajikistan economics, growth, budget, and foreign trade. And the government took necessary steps to remedy the situation. We channeled enough resources from public budget additionally for procurement of medicines and medical equipment. We constructed temporary hospitals. We support healthcare workers. We have mobilized hospitals, beds, doctors. We also offer tax and credit relief to support the vulnerable groups of entrepreneurs. And to improve the social condition of the population, we increased the size of pension salaries and scholarships by 50%. allowances for persons with disabilities by 50%. And in one sentence, I can say that last year, our social spending amounted to 50% of the state budget. So 50% of our state budget went to our social commitments. And these immediate actions undertaken by the government made it possible to ensure the stability of macroeconomic indicators and maintain positive trends in improving living standards. And as a result, our economy grew by 4.5% in 2020. Usually it's 7% before pandemic. And this is much better than we expected. So these measures they definitely got good results for us. And as you know, it's a Brexit here in Europe, in the UK. But Brexit is giving us more opportunities to develop our relations with the UK in all fields, in political, in trade, in economic, in climate change. The UK needs new partners and new markets, and we are ready, you know, to propose mutual and beneficial cooperation in those fields. And we are feeling it now, how an appetite and interest is growing to our region and to Tajikistan also. A lot of companies every day requesting information about Tajikistan, about opportunities there, trying to identify if we can establish cooperation and if embassy could tie them with some Tajik companies and partners. One of the areas that I'm personally focusing here from the embassy is tourism. We expect more tourists from the UK. This year, before pandemic, Tajikistan has been included in the top 10 most attractive countries for tourists, top 10 countries for hiking, top 5 for simplified visa system. The Pamir Highway was among the top 10 beautiful roads in the world, and Dushanbe was among the top 10 safe cities. So welcome to Tajikistan. Taking this opportunity, I need definitely talk about education. Education, one of the main basis for economic and social progress of any state. The well-being of the state and its development mainly depend on the level of education of its citizens. So it's becoming obvious that in the age of globalization, the exchange of information by specialists, scientific research, a basic condition for the economic and social success of any country. That's clear that that's clear for us. And my president has identified education as a priority for the government. And government constantly has continued reform at all stages of education and eliminating existing challenges step by step. The main target for my embassy, for our embassy, is to attract more Western education and science institution to Tajikistan. The UK education system is worldwide reputed for its high quality and standards. And we have held a huge number of meetings with various main universities of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland to establish relationship in the field of education and science. So currently we are working with a number of universities to open their branches in Tajikistan. That's why, as I entered British soil, I began to actively visit the UK university. Government invites these universities to establish cooperation and partnership. with Iowa universities, exchange of and training programs to open a branch in Tajikistan, collaborative or parallel education is another interesting and especially useful model for us. This model, which the student can study for a certain fixed period in their home university, and then they can progress to abroad to finish their education, is very popular and well known among students in Tajikistan educational institution, as we have already some experience with the US universities. There are already several success cases in Tajikistan of opening education institutions these years, such as the Cambridge Worldwide Academy or the University of Central Asia by Aga Khan Foundation. And it's worth noting the issue of learning of English. English is the language, the language of politics, law, and economics, entertainment, travel, business, music, arts. That's why this is very well understood in Tajikistan, and that's why my president at the language day, he said that each of our citizens should learn English. That's why there is huge demand for learning English in Tajikistan, and our side is ready to provide the necessary infrastructure if needed in order to establish English training courses. There is still an issue to find a place with high quality English courses, even in Dushanbe. That's why in the direction of English, of learning English, we also really need cooperation from the British Council. The British Council is not active in Tajikistan, but we will continue to attract them and their program to our country. And the pandemic was a sudden test, not only for the healthcare system. Educational institutions all over the world were forced to switch to a new online format. And online training becoming maybe, if not the basis of global education, but it's integral and rapidly developing part. And the development of online education provides an excellent chance for countries such as Tajikistan, which is a little bit further than the world centers of education, and we could squeeze the maximum out of online education system. And about climate change, Tajikistan is one of the most vulnerable countries in terms of climate in the whole region of Europe and Central Asia. You know that 93% of Tajikistan territory are mountains, and only 7% of the land is considered flat. And Tajikistan highly vulnerable to climate shocks, droughts, floods, landslides. Up to 1/3 of the glaciers in Central Asia is expected to completely disappear by 2050, which will dramatically increase the risk of sudden floods caused by outbursts of glacier flakes. And these glaciers of Tajikistan may lose half of their volume by 2050. And such disasters are particularly devastating for the country's agricultural, transport system, transport network, can be washed away, which will take several months or even years to restore. A series of major disasters have also occurred across the country over the past 25 years, which affected more than 80% of our population. And according to experts, general temperature rise is observed in the territory of Tajikistan, and the number of droughts and natural disasters has increased. Reducing glaciers that feed the main rivers in the country and the entire Central Asia region may jeopardize the energy industry and agricultural of the country. In this regard, our government is developing urgent measures to adapt to climate change. Measures are needed to ensure adaptation to changing conditions that can be used both to reduce climate risk and take potential benefit from climate change. Examples of such measures are construction of flood protection dams, creation of drought-resistant crops, selection of forest flora, and development of forest management practices. And other very important measure of adaptation to climate change are improving and resistance of agriculture to climate change, creating drought-resistant crops, introducing soil and water-saving technologies. And considering the UK climate ambitions and COP26 this year, there is a big potential of cooperation in this area also with the UK. And the UK expertise is very valuable for us. We would like to establish cooperation with relevant UK department and other institutions to exchange knowledges in order to tackle the climate change consequences. And at the end of my speech, I would like to attract your attention. You know, if somebody will ask me, okay, what you did as ambassador of Tajikistan in the UK, and you know, if I can just name two things, I will definitely name the Chamber of Commerce, which we created in 2019, and Tajik Cultural Center, which we created last year. I made it with, Chamber was created with Ilya Pike, which would be introduced after my speech, and Tajik Cultural Center organized by Anisa Sabiri, and we are very proud of it. And with Chamber of Commerce, the main projects that we are working on, despite of many others, it's a forum that we are going to hold this year, the first UK Tajikistan Investment and Development Forum. It should be on October in London, hopefully, if everything would be good and as we plan. And this event will be the best place to find out information about Tajikistan. People can meet state agencies and private sector from Tajikistan and identify a business potential of the country and options to establish cooperation. So that's we are going to make with the Chamber of Commerce this year. About other things, Ilya will tell you soon. With Tajik Cultural Center, we have a lot of very good projects, which Anissa also will present. I can just mention one of them. Our plan to erect the monument of the founder of Persian Tajik literature, Abu Abdullah Rudaki, in one of the main maybe universities of the UK or other places, because the figure of Rudaki unites the people of the East, and he is a symbol of civil liberty and humanism, values which are especially important in Tajikistan as it moves toward democratization and the nurturing of civil society. To our surprise, however, despite Great Britain's leading role in the academic study of Iranian literature, culture, and philosophy, Rudaki is somehow underrepresented in the public sphere. That's why the embassy and the Tajik Cultural Center, on behalf of the Tajik and the other Persian-speaking people of the world, appeals to you for your support in providing a suitable place for the monument to this great humanism. And I also would like to ask those people who are listening me now, if you have any idea how we can develop this project, or are there any projects, I'm all in. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Masoud. This was wonderful, and I think the thing that you highlighted at the end regarding this cultural monument, to Rudaki, is something obviously, as we have already expressed our kind of interest, and we hope to develop this particular with you. I can see Peter nodding. You can see the interest right here. So, and obviously we should try to expand as much across UK, but Cambridge certainly would like to take a special interest in this one. But before I keep on talking, we would like to invite, is it Anissa going first or Ilya? Anissa, let's start with you.
Okay, of course. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you and to present the Cultural Center. Well, as a filmmaker, I believe in the strong power of visual presentations, so I decided to share with you the presentation we prepared. Just a second. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it, yes.
Perfect.
Now we see too much of your screen.
Yeah, is it working?
It's still a bit distorted with some, now it's.
Yes. So I'm happy to speak about the Tajik Cultural Center that was established in March 2020, and this was at the initiative of the Tajik Embassy in Great Britain, and this is a non-governmental organization which was actually aimed to promote the Tajik culture to the English-speaking world. And I just passed this slide because I know that you know about the region very well. So the only thing I want to mention is that although Tajikistan is a little known country and very small, it has a very ancient heritage, and its identity, the Tajik cultural identity, extends beyond Tajikistan's national borders and is over 1,000 years old. So I won't stop there, but I want to say that our mission is to trace the unique historical and geographical pathway drawn by all forms of Tajik culture, by which we mean that we want to cover the Tajik identity, which is beyond the Tajik national borders. And we want the Tajik Cultural Center to be sort of a home for all forms of Tajik culture presented in different countries, in different forms, and the Tajik people to feel that they have the umbrella organization to express their culture, and also, of course, to feel this, sort of space where they can be understood and share their stories, unique stories, and so on. We used here, you can see the work by Guzel Zakir, an amazing artist from Sinzan, who lives in Kazakhstan now. And we think that it's also very interesting that different other cultures and different other nations, they also have a lot of traces within the Tajik culture, which is amazing, and we want to make these links as well with other people, for example, the Uzbeks and so on. And I want to share and tell a bit about the the projects we are making, and they will be launched very, very soon. One of the projects is Tajik Culture Online, and in fact, many guests here, for example, Karolina Kluchevska and Aaron O'Connor, they also are part of this this project. So it's nice to see them here. So Tajik Culture Online is a journal online platform which gathers storytellers from all over the world to tell the stories about Tajikistan and Tajik culture. And I invite all academics and people who are interested to share their interesting stories about the Tajik culture within on our platform, which will be a great space for it. It will be in Tajik and English. I'll show you some examples of the articles soon. The Tajik language online is another ambitious project we have. It aims to promote the Tajik language through online resources. These will be delivered via a new platform called Zabon, which means language from Tajik. And Zabon will allow students from all over the world to learn the Tajik language through online video tutorials, audiobooks, ebooks, etc. We want to make cartoons on the Tajik fairy tales as well. So it's like a huge platform similar to Udemy somehow, but just for the Tajik language. And we also want to promote the endangered dialects of Tajikistan, such as Vakhi or Ishkashimi and so on, Yaghnobi. So this is in future. Tajik history online is something I will show as well. We started with a 3D virtual tour, which is aimed to promote the Sarazm historical site. And it's called Sarazm Worldwide, but we are going to make the similar projects for Adina Tepe worldwide, Ancient Panjikand worldwide, and so on. So we basically restored virtually the historic site of Sarazm with help of the leading archaeologists from Tajikistan, from the Academy of Sciences. And this will be a unique experience for people who want to come and to see Sarazm, does it look like now, and what did it look like before 3,000 years ago, and so on. Tajik culture offline is what we are going to experience offline, which we actually started with within the launch of the cultural center, because we planned a lot of Nowruz events last year. Unfortunately, the pandemic started, which made us try the online resources. But now we are going to be back to normal life, basically. So this is Sarazm Worldwide, and it is dedicated to the celebration of 5,500 years of Sarazm. As I said, you can experience what the rooms looked like during 3 periods of Sarazm in ancient periods. We restored from the period from 3,500 to 2,700 BC. We didn't cover the 4th period, but it wasn't changed that much. So we tried to look at all the resources available on Sarazm. It was quite difficult. I'll show you what it looks like. It wasn't launched yet because there are some things we want to change here. But basically, it's almost ready. So you have a unique experience now to see what the virtual tour will be like. So you can see English, Russian, Tajik. It is in 3 languages because we want just everyone to experience this unique project. You can see the rooms are restored. You can see the signs here. I'll be back to English. You can see the room size, what it looked like, what was the goal of the objects here. So basically, we restored it exactly as it looked like in plans of the archaeologists. We can be back to 1,000 years. Again, see what the rooms looked like, the same rooms, just 1,000 years older. I won't show you everything because of time limit, but it's huge, this. And you know, the famous part of Sarazm is the Princess of Sarazm and this necropolis. So we can see also what the bones looked like, what are the objects for. And again, there are some things we need to work on, just to polish everything, but this is basically the project. Okay. So Sarasm will be launched hopefully before Nowruz. The next project is Tajik Culture Online, which is an online journal. These are examples of the articles. You can see that, for example, monobrow, from fertility to decolonization, is also something. So we are trying to make the interesting stories about to show them to the audience of from all over the world, which will be interesting regarding decolonization, for example, issues not just regarding culture, but which also touch some politics and political view and socio-political, anthropological, and so on. We also will tell stories about mosaics, for example, which is a very sensitive topic in terms of culture and anthropology, and so on. Photography. We are going to present beautiful photography from all over the world, which was taken in Tajikistan, and very high quality photographs. This is another project, which is Tajik Language Online. This is one of our favorite projects, and it will be the unique platform first ever launched about the Tajik language and the disappearing Tajik languages and dialects. So you can see here all the components of the project. It all will be presented on one platform. Everything there you can find to learn the Tajik language. And this is one of the examples. I'm sorry that there are no subtitles yet, but we are working on it. So this is just a teaser. What will the lessons will look like? Something got wrong. Well, I can share this.
Yeah, and so you can share the link.
Yeah, I will share it
on their own pace. Yeah.
And Tajik Culture Offline is the project we are. Well, it's a huge territory. We can do events online, offline, and so on. So the first one and the soonest will be the photographer Sasha Gusov, who is going to Tajikistan to explore all the regions of Tajikistan and share with his beautiful photographs, very powerful to the English-speaking audience, and not only, but he's based in London, and we are going to present the book after his travel to Tajikistan. We are not putting him any boundaries. He will just go and experience whatever he will feel like and he will find interesting. So it will be Tajikistan, which is not presented as usually very formally, like just beautiful landscapes. But no, Sasha is a portrait photographer, and he likes to take photographs of the people's lives, So this is interesting, and he takes black and white photographs. So this will be a very unusual view on the Tajik life in Tajikistan, or Kyrgyz life in Tajikistan, yeah, whatever he experiences. And we are going to show everything. So he will travel from the Pamirs to the north of Tajikistan, the south, and so on. So that's all, I think. Thank you for visiting us, and hopefully we will soon present you our beautiful projects. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll share the video about the language.
Yes, and you can, could you put that in the chat so people can get the link and so on, and continue to progress. I guess we have a short word from Ilya Pike next. I can't even find you where you're, Ilya, in all of this.
I'm on here. I'm just gonna turn the video on. Hopefully it works well.
Yep, we can see you now.
Great. See me. Well, thank you for that presentation, Anissa, and thank you, Your Excellency, for actually going through all the details about Tajikistan's future plans. From the chamber side, again, the reason that we were set up is to drive forward some of these engagements with British companies. We understand that in the context of what was going to be happening, COVID aside, that the UK was undergoing a transformation and a change of direction, which would enable Tajikistan to more effectively work with the country and the business community. And this is exactly why we did what we did with the chamber. So our general context was really that it was the right time to establish this organization, and the business community was becoming far more, shall we say, outward looking than it has originally been, especially now that Brexit has happened, that has come more into fruition. Now, with the context of Tajikistan itself, the country is undergoing massive developments, as His Excellency has ruled out. It's not just internal, it's also the markets surrounding the country, it's the policies, it's the infrastructure. There is a lot that is happening. With all of that, there is the agricultural sector, there is a lot of organic produce, the consumables, mining and tourism that we would all like to work with more on. We recognize this, and we want to partner with other companies and other governments, entities in the UK to actually make sure that we can bring about, one, the facilitation of a faster engagement, and two, a more effective engagement between the two sides. What the Chamber really does is it serves almost like a platform to actually promote this economic growth through the bilateral trade, the direct investments that can be initiated, and we also support any capital flows that come in. Again, making business ties more closer and facilitating more transparent business dealings will allow for more deeper insights to be made and for market conditions of both nations to actually align more closely. We know that the UK itself offers an unparalleled access to innovation, to partnerships, expertise, experienced organizations and companies that are at the forefront of everything from whether it's climate change, service sector, finance. This is an economy that pioneers the commercial side just as it does the social side. This is exactly where we want to come in to actually bridge the gap in engagement between the two sides in these spheres. We know that there is so much we can do between both sides, which hasn't really been done before or hasn't been done to a full extent. We can engage with both the private and the public sectors, the education sector as well, any representation of knowledge. Again, it's all about forming a consistent dialogue, which then leads to strong partnerships, which leads to successful initiatives in all these projects that we have that are ongoing in the country. With all of that, again, being the backdrop, we also understand that the commercial side in the UK has a greater appetite. So it's not just us wanting to do these things. We know that a lot of British suppliers, distributors, innovators, investors, they're looking for new opportunities. They're looking for something that hasn't really been at the forefront before or just hasn't come across their desk. That is exactly what we want to put in front of them, and also provide them that transparency and the right information to make them understand and calculate the opportunities involved, how to take advantage of those opportunities, and what is the fastest way, shall we say, what the best route to market will be in that scenario. The country itself, Tajikistan, is looking to become a hub, and as His Excellency said, the infrastructure projects can be quite massive. They can impact the entire region, not just the country itself. With UK companies, we know that UK companies have had success implementing similar initiatives in other nations very successfully. We want to make sure that we engage on that side. What have we been doing ourselves, and where we've seen a lot of movement, is the education sector, especially the demand for the English language, strong English language learning, opening up again either university office in the country, deep partnerships through the government as well. That is one area that we're seeing massive movement on. The other area is actually, as His Excellency pointed out, the fresh fruit and dry fruit industry as well. Tajikistan has very unique produce, which often doesn't really reach the UK. And in fact, it's almost really never really reached the UK as such. And now we're seeing a massive change where there is massive interest coming from the UK, where all of a sudden, this type of product is A, competitive, and B, in line with the trends of healthy eating, with, again, sustainability. That is something that just people were not really as fully aware of as they are now. Again, this is something we want to facilitate and make sure that we can bring into the UK. Additionally, there is the tourism sector. Now, we've done the tourism event together with the embassy back a year ago, and of course that was before COVID, which was a success. We knew that there was a lot of tour operators, companies, business consultants that are looking to establish either smaller hotels in regional sectors where it's on the intersection of planned routes for mountaineering, for climbers, for those that are going trekking as well. That is also an opportunity that will be coming around the corner eventually once the situation with COVID pans out and once that is more predictable. So that hasn't gone anywhere. In fact, that's become a much bigger opportunity every week. And again, it's the infrastructure side too. Once there is a direct air route between the two countries, that not only operates the tourism side, but that will increase the direct cargo as well. Things like fresh fruits can then be exported very effectively. And therefore, we really want to be in a position where, A, we can work with companies that would like to either participate in these projects as consultants, developers, investors, financiers, advisors, and as well do the vice versa with Tajikistan, whether that is getting the right allowances between the UK government and allowing certain Tajik restricted goods to become approved, getting those approvals in, or advising the companies there on how to actually expand to the UK market. That is what we are about. And if you have any additional questions again on this topic, and if you'd like to see more about us, then feel free to contact us as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dia. So we hope His Excellency is ready to take some questions from the floor. Some of them you can read, but we are making our own list of the queue with people who are writing to us. So I'll call out people to ask the questions, and please use the raise hand option to make it a little bit easier for us to follow the questions. As we move forward, I want to start with one of the first things that was highlighted in your talk. Of course, you know that this is something I'm really interested in, about the technical scientific capacity in the country that you and if I recall our first visit, I brought you to the lab. And in this regard, what are the specific mechanisms that will allow us, and not just us in Cambridge, but UK generally, to engage with the multifaceted and I would say quite different frames of working in science and technology? So you have Academy of Sciences, you have industry institutes, you have, and here UK we do most things from the university side. So we need kind of to think through a mechanism so that multiple stakeholders in Tajikistan can, take advantage and work together on that. And I'd like to start with your views on that particular topic.
Yeah, thank you, Montu. Yeah, I remember the field visit with you, and we visited the lab, and I was impressed. And if you remember, the first my request was to establish this cooperation in order to create such similar lab in Tajikistan. And as you said, we have different scheme in Tajikistan how it works, but I think the best way how we can proceed it, if we can get the experience of the UK, not to make it like in Tajik style, but to make it more in British style. For example, to create this lab, not just a lab, but a lab which is can act under university or some educational or science institution, or maybe a lab which will work under the some state agencies. Mm-hmm. For example, we need a lab for geology and archaeological things, which can be under those agencies who are dealing with. Right. That's why, yeah, definitely, as you know, there are big demand, and I bother you very, very, very frequently about this. And this field, as I said in my speech, embassy will focus on in order to attract any educational or scientific institution to Tajikistan. And there are no restrictions for that. So there are no something that can ban or can freeze it. So we are really ready and open to discuss, and we can be very flexible for such projects.
Thank you so much. So the first question from the floor is from Dr. Skandar Abdullayev, Deputy Director, Karak Institute.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Saxena, and I would like to thank His Excellency Ambassador for excellent presentation of Tajikistan's plans and also development agenda. Excellent work on introducing Tajik culture, Central Asian culture to Europe, because in many parts of the world, Central Asians are very new. And for that, my great thanks. Karak Institute, which I'm Deputy Director, works with Karak program of ADB, which includes many aspects of what you have mentioned in your presentation, including energy issues, especially in transit hubs and transportation. Observing last developments in Central Asia, I think a pragmatic approach to all these issues becoming a centerpiece. Do you think this allows achieve your plans, making Tajikistan a transit hub for Central Asia, which links South and Central Asia? And also, is it now a good time to take up and implement the plans to becoming energy hub, actually clean energy hub for the region? How do you think? Is it now a good time? Is it really best time to follow up? And thank you again once more for your good inputs and presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Mr. Abdullah. Very good question. Yeah, first of all, thank you for that you mentioned Tajik Cultural Center. And it really, to be honest, maybe we started with Anisa to think about how we can make it just in London for the UK, but at the end, it's something like becoming very, very wide. And now we are trying to get all Europe and English-speaking world. So hopefully, these projects will help people to understand Tajikistan, to know us better, to know more about our culture and those things. Thank you so much. About hydropower and those lines, it's definitely something that we are working very hard. I mean, government. We can be a hub in Central Asia because we have the best potential for that. As I said, we are very renewable in compare with other countries of our region. And we propose really cheap and renewable electricity to everybody. So there are no restrictions for us in the sphere of cooperation with our neighbors, with downstream countries, or with countries which have a big lack of electricity. For example, Pakistan and India, because now we are constructing a project CASA 1000, which will assist us to deliver electricity from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan to Pakistan. And this line is going through Afghanistan. So it means that it's really very wide and multilateral projects which will get benefit to all these countries. And this is very good that that electricity not just cheap but renewable. And we also propose to our neighbors that we can get this electricity instead, and they can actually buy this electricity instead to burn oil and gas. And this is also will assist with the to tackle climate change consequences. Yeah, so it's the benefit is really big. And as I said, we're just getting this energy independence. We are still have some issues, but in the near future, with Rogun Dam, which is just we started a construction of the dam and other projects that we have. So definitely we have the biggest potential in order to become one of the main exporter of electricity, and also to become a electricity hub of the Central Asia.
Thank you so much. So
thank you.
Next, we have. I know it's maybe difficult for people to know that where their place in the queue is, but we're keeping a good track of it. So if you've raised the question or asked the raise your hand, you have been noted. So now Professor Munira Shahidi, who is the national team leader for Tajikistan for the Compass project, and also the director of the Shahidi Foundation. So she bridges this cultural diplomacy, the culture itself, and many of the other strains we discussed today. Munira, the floor is yours. But you're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Still muted.
How it is now?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Montu, for that proposal. And Mr. Ambassador, I'm really pleased that we started that talk. And maybe it's, in a way, it's my fault that I didn't inform you that our project on academic issues and on academic discussions between Tajikistan, Tajik National University and Cambridge University, Kent University has been started 3 years ago. And last year we had a privilege to have a fantastic conference, which has been participated by academics as well as diplomats. For example, the head of European Union participated the conference. And now I think you are absolutely right when you are saying that we are just on our start to go deeper and to see what is the real state of our education, of our science, what is our potential to be involved in a number of problems which were really highlighted by COVID-19. And one of them, of course, is intercultural communication, inter-academic communication, scholarly communication regarding climate change, regarding the demands of and challenges of what is development itself, to what extent we're capable to keep that potential developing today, and what is potential for tomorrow. What are our capacities to make the community, the global community, more, developing and stable. So thank you very much indeed, and I hope very much that we will continue, we will develop that discussion, and in a week or so, or maybe a little bit more, we just started to organize that. We will organize the next discussion on the base of what we have achieved from our last conference in 2019 toward today, and what was our benefit from that project. And taking that opportunity, I want to thank you very much, our leaders of our project, Yelena Kristilova and Montu Saxena, who gave us that opportunity to benefit from 5 universities of the world, including Academy of Sciences, and now Russian Academy of Sciences and University, Moscow State University want so much to be included into our discussions, and we will continue. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Munira.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, dear Molima. Yeah, nice to see you. Long time no see. And you're right. There was several projects that we together we were working on, and you made a very good first conference. But unfortunately, we could not make the second due to the COVID. But hopefully it's still in force. But the only thing that I would like to mention, if you remember, and I talked also to Monty about it, how we got support of the president for that two conference. How it was easy, how it was fast. So what does it mean? It means that president he loves this such of projects, and if there are interest and appetite from this part of the world to make such things, definitely it will be supported by government and by the president. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing with Montu, with Yelena and others.
Thank you.
I should add that, and we should thank actually Ambassador and his team are kept abreast of everything we do, and they actually help us a lot from the background for things to work. And so they are part of the team invisibly and graciously. So thank you for that very much.
Thank you.
So the next question goes to Malika Beg. Would you like to ask your question? Oh, sorry, Malika Giles. I don't know why I called you Malika Beg. Are you present? Okay, if not, in this case, we'll move to the next. That would be Sally Daltrey. Sally, can we see you? Yes. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes. Good afternoon in London. I think, Your Excellency, thank you so much for a beautiful presentation and a very positive outlook on the future of what could happen in the Tajik-UK relationship. My relationship with Tajikistan goes back quite some time, and on every visit to your beautiful country, I have to say how impressed I have been by the abundant examples of human resilience, adaptation, survival, deep knowledge about how to do more with less. And this is a subject on which I have written and spoken in my own small way around the world as many times as I can, because I think it's important. I would like to hope that in the future Tajikistan is not seen as it is too often as a place at the edges or even a hub, but rather as a very rich crucible of learning and experience from which we can all draw great motivation and inspiration recovering after COVID. I left the UK 12 years ago. I don't go back very often, but I watch with great sorrow what is happening in the UK to my small country. And I think, if I may, it is the UK that can learn from Tajikistan at this time and not the other way around. And so I would just like to encourage you very much in that agenda. And I look forward so much to seeing the name Tajikistan mentioned increasingly by my government, in the government inquiries as they grapple with the country and the infrastructure recovering from this difficult time. I look forward very much to seeing deep academic inquiry between our two countries on subjects of great practical relevance to our resilience and our survival.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much, Sally. Thank you. Yeah, you're definitely right. There's actually a lot that we can learn from the UK. UK, despite of everything around it, despite of Brexit, pandemic, and all the issues that you have, is still the center of a lot of things like education, science, technologies, banking sector, finance. So huge. So even if you see that about the process of creating a vaccine, so the UK is among that several big countries which could manage it. So it tells a lot.
Thank you. Carolina, you're next.
Thank you very much. تشکر زیاد برای شما. Just a question, because of your very vast experience in different countries where you worked, which we read in the bio, and also Professor Saxena mentioned it, United States, United Kingdom, Switzerland, China, and others. So based on your personal experience and what are your impressions in how Tajikistan cooperates with different countries? As a person who studies development and international relations, I would be very interested to know what are the similarities and differences in the cooperation, for example, with what we can categorize as Western partners and non-Western partners, regarding perhaps difficulties and easiness of cooperation and different fields. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Carolina. Yeah, it's really different. My first appointment was China. I'm actually Chinese specialist in education. It was really interesting for me to be appointed there. I love this country. I love this language. I'm big fan of Chinese cuisine. That's why it was the right place to be at that time. And China is our neighbor. It's a strategic partner. That's why it was really interesting to work there, and you know, communication, this cooperation in all fields was really big and really fast. And then I went to the US, which Tajikistan is too far, and after China, the US, it was you know, I have not just cultural shock, but I got some diplomatic shock also, which was really hard to work there, because we had and the US is mostly working through their embassies in those countries. That's why it gave me greatest experience in the US. It's really one of the best countries in the world, and I'm really happy that I was lucky to be appointed in the US. The Switzerland part was something between. It was also, you know, Switzerland. You know, it's a great country. It's a great place to live. But for me, it was really important to see how to work in the sphere of multilateral diplomacy, because I was appointed in our representation to the UN, and I covered human rights. I covered all spheres, but what I tried to focus on, it was human rights. It was that international organizations which more focused on economic sphere and trade facilitation and investment attractions. And there are a lot of international organizations that we are not so tight. That's why it was the best time for me to see that field and to understand how it works. It gave me a lot of experiences, a lot of knowledge, but I'm still learning.
Thank you for that reflection. We have several other questions.
One question that I wanted to ask, it's more about regional cooperation. What do you think about, yes, potential of Tajikistan to involve others, or again, some kind of capacity to present regional heritage? Because right now we're talking about this kind of regional vision, and it might again to reach us and again reach not just simply binational units. It's more about common vision that we might present together. What do you think about this? And from other side, Tajikistan itself, not just simply involved here in Europe, in Western countries, but what you think as an ambassador, what do you think about Tajikistan in Tajikistan, about regional accent, regional perspective of development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nargis, for the question. Nice to see you. Yeah, you're right that if you will see that everything that we are saying beginning our independence is more regional cooperation, more regional integration. We've been a part of one country. That's why we still, if you will talk to people, why they love Soviet Union, because of this integrity and because of this life that we had together. That's why we still have a big demand on to be together. Of course, we cannot be in the framework of one country, but we still can work together. And our president, in all his speeches, he's telling about how we can work in all that spheres, starting economic field, projects, cultural, academic, because even during Soviet Union, there was a lot of projects that you can build if you can gather all these, for example, academic institution or all these manufacturing enterprises. That's why it's just not. It is not just because cultural thing or science, but it is in all areas that now we are living. Definitely, we will continue our plans. We will prove what we said before, and in all spheres, Tajikistan is for integration, for cooperation, for everything good.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this particular topic is of so much interest in how the dynamics. I mean, we see so often now, the Tajik, both the the main diplomatic channel and the track 2 diplomatic channel is now very active across the region, and I think we hope that we are part of that track 2 process ourselves in that sense. So we have another question from one of the students, Jin Liu, and she is unable to ask it verbally, so she's asked me to ask you. So then actually writing from Beijing, she's there participating from there. So Your Excellency Ambassador, thank you for sharing. Welcome to China again, she says. She's writing you. What is your view of Tajikistan's role and opportunities in the Belt and Road Initiative?
Yeah, thank you so much. As I said, we have great cooperation with China in all spheres. It's our strategic partner, our neighbor. We're still working to develop our infrastructure with this country. And yeah, the One Belt, One Road initiative was established by China eight years ago, right? And in attempts to better link China to other countries through increased trade. And the huge amount of resources also committed to this initiative. And China has already had a large role in the economic development of countries in Central Asia and South Asia and beyond. So in fact, for many countries in region, China is by far the biggest source of financing. If you will compare the investment and other involvement of China in region and compare with other resources like even ADB, EBRD, even World Bank. So it's still huge. That's why the most challenging for example, investors from the West or from other country, it's really hard for them to be in competition with Chinese resources, which is really cheap. That's why usually it's really complicated to work in our region for the investors from other parts of the world. So that's why China is successful.
Thank you for that. So one of our PhD students, Callie Berman, would like to ask a question. Callie.
Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Thank you, Your Excellency, for that really fantastic overview of the future of Tajikistan and its visions moving ahead. And yeah, it was very, very commendable and wonderful to hear some of the COVID relief measures that have been put in. I think indeed, like Sally mentioned, some very big learning opportunities from others in the Western world to learn from. So thank you for sharing that with us. My question is sort of builds on the investment landscape that you laid out for us and some of the priorities for exports, and particularly with regard to food and food security is what my question is connected to. And I'm curious to see how Tajikistan is perhaps engaging with others internationally to learn from other experiences about how when agricultural and export commodities become more export oriented. We often know that food security is linked not so much to a shortage necessarily, but that it's actually built on certain contracts and how trade regulations are carried out oftentimes. And COVID certainly showed us this in abundance. And some of the commodities that you were discussing, walnuts and fruits, maybe are not such staple foods, but that they're embedded in very vast food production systems, very ancient ones, and that have been made viable for millennia because of the sort of embedded knowledge within these food systems to carry them out. So, and this is something that the UK export and investment climate doesn't necessarily recognize or understand very well. So was wondering, I guess within that, how perhaps Tajikistan is engaging with others, if at all, from the international community about what their experiences have been in moving towards more export-oriented food systems, and then also how investment may not, like Sally was mentioning earlier, how investment could take a different form, and that it could be that there are certain safety measures or checks put in by the Tajik government and to ensure that there's not certain food issues that do arise unnecessarily, because it's Tajikistan really has an amazing food system and many embedded knowledges and that are very, very tied to how production has functioned for millennia. And sometimes investment can drastically reshape that. So I was wondering what kind of discussions are being had in that sphere, and perhaps if that's taking international relations as well. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Very good question. I can tell a lot about it, but I would try to be brief. We are very focused. I mean, here in the embassy, we are very focused on to establish a trade between countries, and one of the projects that Ilya and me are working on is how we can establish an export of fruits, dry foods, and other agricultural products to the UK. The good thing is, for example, before when we request to export any agricultural products to the UK, mostly, we used to get a response that we need to request to Brussels. So now it's London, it's good, it's more close to us. That's why now we have more direct communication with the UK side, and we can solve and talk directly, not with the European Union and those people that little bit far from us than sitting in Brussels. Tajikistan doing a lot in order to create favorable conditions for farmers, for fruits and vegetables to be exported to other countries. So any export is with no tax and custom clearance. It really helps. For example, now we are talking about to establish an export of fresh fruits like cherry, lemon, pomegranate. So there are no issue except logistic. It's the only issue is that we have now in order to start that project. But when we are talking with the UK partner and telling that unfortunately it's not maybe good time to start the project because we do not have direct flight between countries, because for example, to export fresh fruits, you need direct flight, and you cannot make it through other countries because you need to avoid the risk in business. But the response was no, it's okay. We have an experience to import fruits from even South Africa to the UK. So every issue can be solved. That's why the condition is good. The government of Tajikistan is getting a lot of privileges to people who can make an export of agricultural products. Just not an export of agricultural products. Any export has a lot of privileges in Tajikistan, and yeah, so there are a lot of projects that we are focused on now, and we are working with our Chamber of Commerce in order to establish the trade relations. And in Tajikistan, we still have some issues in order to produce high quality agricultural product. But it's much better than several years ago already. If you will go to Tajikistan and you will see agricultural fields, you can feel that how it improved this year. And even during pandemic, the production of the agricultural increased by 18%. So it's really becoming really interesting and a beneficial field of work in Tajikistan. So definitely cherries, lemon, pomegranate, honey, that's the most priority and valuable products in order to be exported.
So actually, I have a follow-up on that particular one. Apart from the political, the economic, and logistical, there is, whenever it comes to food, there is a scientific and technical aspect of it, both in terms of certification regimes and if you are doing any form of processing, and that again is another dimension. So, are there any specific steps being taken to kind of link up? So then that's not the final barrier in getting things across to not just to UK, but almost anywhere else.
That's a good question, Montu. Actually, that's the only issue and the most challenging that we have in order to export, for example, honey to the UK. Mm-hmm. So when we started it, we started to talk to people in Brussels, and they need that certification because honey they put honey in the list of animal products. That's why you need to get a certification, because it's food security, and all countries need some certification in order to see if it's And you are right that that's an issue in Tajikistan, because we do not have a lab in order to get the certification. That's why we are looking for a lab in other countries. You know, it's Kazakhstan, it's Russia, in Germany. We found some labs in Germany that can do it. But yeah, that's an issue, and that's something that our government should work on and should solve this.
Yeah. I mean, this applies
if you would like to be a big exporter.
Yeah, I mean, and this applies also to the other side, to the metal sector as well. Whenever you have mining, this comes back again. We have a question from Dr. Michael Bravo, please.
Oh yeah, thank you very much indeed for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I work at the Polar Institute, so we have a particular interest in glaciers. But more generally, I appreciated the breadth of your discussion about international cooperation. I just wondered if you'd like to, if you're able to reflect a little bit or say a little bit about the way in which Tajikistan cooperates over climate. I guess I'm thinking particularly about risk assessment and the longer term impact of glacier melt on the economy.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Bravo. Yeah, good question. As I said, as it is a priority for the government to tackle climate change and everything regarding our glaciers, it's really complicated in order to attract other sides to this issue, because everybody is thinking that environment or climate problems that you have in your country is just your own problems. Yeah, and by now we could mostly attract an attention of international organizations who are focused on climate change things. But what we are going to make and continue to make is to attract not those international organizations like World Bank, like there are a lot of UN agencies which involved in climate change, not just them, which is really cooperating with us and helping us, and we are working very good, but also attract an attention of other countries. For example, that glaciers not just generating water for Tajikistan, but it's generating water for the whole region. So if there would be a problem of water in Tajikistan, so it means that all downstream countries will have this an issue. That's why it's not an issue for Tajikistan, but it's an issue. It's a regional issue. We made some projects with Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. There are some joint commissions that are working on that climate change issue, like RLC, like glaciers in Tajikistan, and there are some cooperation, some communication, some joint projects, but it's still not enough. Not enough, because the territory of glaciers are huge. The effects of RLC disaster on our glaciers are huge. So it's really connected between each other. We cannot solve the issue with our glaciers in one day. So we need very wide and big cooperation, not just from international organizations and institutions, but also from other countries and partners.
Yes, this is a very big topic. Have we lost? Where is Masoud gone?
Yeah,
there we go. I see you. Sorry, the screen's moved. Okay. So I couldn't see you there. No, I just wanted to add the fact this institution where Dr. Bravo is speaking from, the Scott Polar Research Institute, is one of the key university lead in this kind of thinking, and it'll be good for you next time to visit, because also Professor Dowdswell, who's the director, is on the board of Central Asia Forum. and we have discussed these kind of things and how we can connect up. So I think it's very good, and thank you for attending, Michael, as well. And similarly, we have our Earth Sciences department, where there's a huge interest and a lot of knowledge regarding earthquake and seismology and natural disasters aspect of it. And again, all of these things are not specific to any particular country. An earthquake in Tajikistan can take out half of Uzbekistan or Afghanistan. Or recently, as we just few weeks ago, we had the events in people writing to us back from Delhi, family saying that, and then we found that the epicenter was in Tajikistan. So it's really a thing that certainly requires a wider view. And I think from Cambridge community, we'll be able to have a let's say joined up effort to look at these things. Be very, very interesting. We're winding towards the end. We're keeping you for very long, but we do privilege students to ask questions. They are your primary audience. So one of our master's student has raised his hand. So Pascal Gonzalez from Development Studies MPhil.
Hi, Ambassador. Thank you so much for the fantastic talk. This question is kind of related to what Michael just asked, actually. So you talked a lot about kind of like the vast hydroelectric resources that Tajikistan has, and kind of like all the projects that have been going on to just make the most of that advantage that the country has relative to the rest of the region. But I know that over the past year there have been some issues, or there's been a decrease in the hydroelectric output of Tajikistan due to record low snowfall, and just changes in the water supply, and just like the state of glaciers in the region, obviously due to climate change, as has been mentioned a few times. And obviously this has a very direct impact on the electricity supply of not just Tajikistan, but also the rest of the region. So I'm just wondering, regarding like that specific issue and kind of like the sustainability of Tajikistan's hydroelectric system moving forward, what is kind of like the government's position right now in kind of like addressing that issue, like in the long term moving forward? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pascal. Yeah, good question. I actually heard this question every time when we are talking with our partners, with investors, with international organizations who are trying to tell us that development of hydropower plants maybe is not good for a long-term period. But the issue is that the electricity that we are getting from this hydropower plant is really cheap in comparison with other resources that we have in Tajikistan. We do not have oil and gas. We do not have atomic stations to produce cheaper electricity. But by now, hydropower stations is the only source of electricity that we can have. As I said, we are very sunny country, and more than 300 days in Tajikistan, sunny days. But still, the electricity that you can produce by solar farms is much higher than the electricity that you can produce in hydropower station. That's why it's really strange when some international organization or expert is asking us that it's a wrong way to build hydropower station. It's not a wrong way to build them. It's something that we have to do, because by now we are developing our hydropower potential, because we still have water and we cannot ignore it. But at the time that it would be right time to develop our solar energy, so we definitely will start, but we need to wait until the prices would be at the same level. Or for example, a lot of people is asking about the Rogun Dam. Why you are making this dam? You do not need the Rogun power station. You need to build smaller hydropower station. Rogun Dam is not about electricity, actually. Not just because electricity. Of course, it will get a lot of electricity. It's the biggest hydropower plants that we are constructing now. But Rogun Dam also, it's disaster risk management. Rogun Dam is, for example, without Rogun, this all hydropower plants on our rivers soon will just finish. And Rogun Dam also will save all this station and add value, add life for them dramatically. That's why we are making right thing, and we know what we are doing now.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you are right that in the future there are a lot of challenges with climate change, with glaciers, with water. That's why we need cooperation in this field. Water is life.
Okay, so I'm getting all sort of signals that it's time for lunch, which we would have loved to share with you, and we hopefully will in not so distant future. So I'd like to thank you so much, and we'd like to apologize for that rather rude incursion, but that's become, unfortunately, whatever filtering we do, can't somehow people slip in and take advantage for their own pleasure, I suppose. But Peter, would you like to say a parting word?
Parting word is to say thank you very much. Actually, throughout your talk, I was looking at the map of your country, and all sorts of very interesting thoughts cross your mind as you look at the map. So thank you very much indeed for a brilliant talk. It raises all sorts of interesting questions, not least the relationship between this country and your country and other countries. So thank you very much indeed for an extremely enlightening and interesting talk. Thank you very much.
And we will be in touch to take forward some of those ideas which we discussed, whether it's the culture, whether it's the science side, or climate change. I think.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Montu. Yeah, as I said, we are very open. Please tell us if we can make anything together in any field. I'm in.
Perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time and talking to our students. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Masoud.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you.